2, 3. Hi, this is Mike. Today is the 18th of July 2018, and I just had to show you this Volkswagen Squareback, otherwise known as the 411. And why is this so important to me? Because I spent my whole childhood stuffed in the back seat of one of these with my two brothers. So let me kind of give you a tour of this car. Ours, of course, didn't have air conditioning. And look how tiny this is. Look at this back seat. I hope you can appreciate how painful it would be for three boys to sit squished in that back seat going 55 miles an hour all the way from the LA area to Seattle once or twice a year. And my father squeezed every inch out of our Squareback that he possibly could. I mean, we had it for years and years and years. So I saw one of these near my mom's house, and I haven't seen one in many, many years. And look, it's for sale. So this is your chance, guys. You're not going to see these on the market very often, only $4,500. So thanks for taking this trip with me down memory lane. Bye. Hey guys, this is Mike. It's a few hours later. I'm now by the good old In-N-Out in Barstow, California, and I was just thinking about just some more memories of that Squareback and the times that we had in it, both good and bad. And the time period that I remember the most was during the Jimmy Carter administration. And as people my age may remember, there was an energy shortage then, and he instituted a 55 mile per hour national speed limit. And the only person who respected this speed limit was my father. Everybody else just zipped past us, and he gave a lecture thousands of times about how unpatriotic these speeders were. Nevertheless, 55, he would not go 1 mile per hour faster than that. And the route that we took between Orange County and Seattle was always the I-5. Always the I-5. We never would go on the 101 or anything scenic. And the worst part of this drive was between the split off just after the Grapevine between the 99 and the 5 and all the way to Sacramento. And in the summer, it was so hot. And did I say we did not have any air conditioning? I don't know what extras they offered in this car, but my father would have said no to every single one of them, including a cassette player, an 8-track tape player. No. All we listened to was classical music, and he knew every single classical station from San Diego to Bellingham, Washington. And when one of them would go out of range, he would just go to the next one. And if we were lucky, when we were doing short drives in the LA area, we might listen to a soft rock station. And he did like ABBA and the Carpenters and Gordon Lightfoot, and bands like those. And I must admit, today I love those bands. I think they bring back good memories for me. But no, on these long distance trips, it was 100% classical music. So, and how did we spend the time, me and my two brothers in this tiny back seat? Well, we brought along these little stuffed animals that you would buy at this store called Pick and Save, which was just sold all, stuff really cheap that probably no other stores wanted. And we developed just these very elaborate personalities for them. And my brother William was really good with the female characters. And there were all these love triangles, and I could talk all day about these running gags and storylines. But yeah, that was a good way to kill some time. But when we weren't doing that, there were lots of fights over who had to sit in the middle. And I guess my father hoped we would take turns, but sometimes we just couldn't agree on whose turn it was. And yeah, lots of fights about that. And sometimes when we parked, the back seat was this like black vinyl, and sometimes part of it would hit the sun. So you would get back in the car, part of the seat would be really hot. And of course there would be fights over who had to sit on the hot part of the seat. And yeah, some more memories is if we were super lucky, we might be able to eat at something like a Denny's, but only if we were really lucky. When we were unlucky, which was usually the case, we would always bring this styrofoam cooler, and my mother would put in it this like purple juice, Wonder Bread, and bologna. So we would always stop at a rest stop and eat bologna sandwiches and purple juice. And one thing that drove me crazy was that sometimes they would put this cooler in, and of course we had to stuff in tons of luggage, and the styrofoam cooler would rub against the glass, and this noise drove me crazy. And of course, if I complained about it, I was a spoiled brat, so I had to endure for hours the sound of styrofoam rubbing against the glass. And I still today abhor this sound. And yeah, what else was I gonna say? I know I was thinking about other stuff too. Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to say. So it always took 2 days to get from Orange County to Seattle. And we would always, if we were lucky, very lucky, we would spend the night at the Motel 6 in Redding, California. But if we were unlucky, which was usually the case, my father would sneak into this campground at Mount Shasta. And we would get there at like 10 o'clock at night because we drove so slowly. And we had this really cheap tent, and my father would set it up, and then we would have to get up at like first light so my father could pack up and leave before the ranger came by to check for reservations. So, and at the time I didn't even know where we were because we arrived at night and we left at night. But yeah, it was somewhere near Mount Shasta. And yeah, and to make matters even worse, on the lucky times we might eat at a Denny's or a Sambo's, when I was a kid, I hated the smell of coffee. It abhorred me, and I couldn't go in. I just disliked the smell of coffee so much, so I'd probably eat more bologna sandwiches for breakfast. But yeah, hope this wasn't too boring, but and thanks for listening to the stories, my memories of our old Volkswagen Squareback. Thanks guys, bye. I forgot to say something. As you can imagine, with 3 boys in this tiny seat for 12 hours of driving a day, there were lots of fights, lots of arguments, and my father's patience with this would only go so far. And you know, he would always, when the rambunctiousness got a little too high, he would always warn us to stop it, and sometimes we took the warning and sometimes we didn't. And there were a lot of fights, like on this black vinyl seat. It had these like lines, and these established the borders, and sometimes there would be some border violations, and these always resulted in a fight. And anyway, so he would when my father's patience ran to an end, he would tell my mother to bop us, and then she would roll up one of her German magazines, which was often Stern, which had some interesting pictures in it, but that's a topic for another day. So she would roll it up and hit us on the heads with it, and yeah, that would shut us up for a while. And to be perfectly honest with you, she didn't hit us that hard. But yeah, that's but yeah, I remember getting bopped lots of times. So okay guys, thanks again for watching. Bye. Let's keep going. Okay, cut. Okay guys, I'm here at the 7 Magic Mountains now, and I thought of some more stuff to say. Some of you may be wondering, you know, I've never even seen this car called a Squareback before, and it is the only uncool car that Volkswagen made in the 60s. They had such hits with the VW Bus, the Bug, the Karmann Ghia, and then this just ugly car called the Squareback and its ugly cousin, the Fastback. And but you know, that's just what we had and at the time there were lots of them. It was kind of like the Ford Pinto of Volkswagens, just a simple, boring car. And yeah, another thing I forgot to say is that I actually learned to drive largely in that Squareback, and I am still shell-shocked from the experience. I was so traumatized from my father giving me driving lessons in that thing that I didn't get my license until I was 20, and I did it with the help of some other friends. So yeah, and I was wondering whatever actually became of our Squareback. You know, I had thought that it would eventually become mine once I learned how to drive, but no. My parents continued to hang on to that thing until well into my 20s, and I got a Plymouth Duster for myself, and that car is a whole nother story. So yeah, I can't think of anything else to say, so I hope this video wasn't too boring, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.